Hello and welcome back to the Web Canopy Studio Show. I'm your host, Tom Andrews, and today we are once again joined by the fantastic Elizabeth Winkelman, where today we're going to talk about the one biggest mistake you're probably making inside of HubSpot and how to fix it. Let's begin. Elizabeth, welcome back to the show. There's probably no point in me saying welcome back now because you're on it most weeks and I feel like you're just a permanent fixture, which I love.
Yeah. Well, it makes me feel special though.
So exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll get the welcome back. Maybe I have to up the ante, get my Harry Potter wand from Orlando and come up with a bunch of confetti or something.
Maybe we could do a whole Harry Potter themed episode sometime where we're both in costume.
I think we should do that.
I think with my hair, I could get it bushy and be like a really effective Hermione. Professor Trelawney.
Oh yeah! Oh, go for it. Get on Amazon, have a look at some fancy dress.
Yeah, maybe we could do some. Maybe that's the episode where we talk about reports and forecasting and goals and things. Ooh. So you know what I mean. I do. Oh, you know what? I do have a. It's for Halloween, but I do have a crystal ball.
Do you actually? Mm-hmm. Oh, that is amazing. We've got to do that. do you know what? Yeah. I'm actually well up for that. The next podcast. So listeners, we're actually going to record 2 podcasts today. So unfortunately, the next podcast you listen to isn't going to be this one. But I feel like in the very near future, you're going to have us essentially looking like we're straight out of Hogwarts. Anyway, today we are unfortunately not straight out of Hogwarts. We are straight out of HubSpot. Sounds kind of similar and pretty much as cool as Hogwarts, some would argue.
It's not straight out of Compton.
Yeah. So, in Hogwarts, those pesky wizards and witches, they make lots of mistakes. Inside HubSpot, people do as well. We deal with a lot of clients and they're making not necessarily mistakes, even though a lot of the times they are, but they're doing things which perhaps aren't helping them get the most out of HubSpot. But sometimes there are some glaring errors that they don't know they're making. And it's not their fault at all because they haven't really been told the stuff. And it's what most companies do. So, Elizabeth, what is the one mistake you see companies making time and time again? So what's the most common one?
Honestly, I think the most common one, believe it or not, and it's not unique to HubSpot. It's dirty data. Data, there are parts of, and I can't remember the terms. There's actual data terms on types of data. There's stuff that doesn't change, right? So it's always going to be the same thing. And then stuff that does change, like your email address, right? People switch jobs. Right? Yeah. There's no point in keeping a contact that's bounced globally in HubSpot. The contact, you can keep the company, you can keep the deal or anything associated with it, but that email is no longer valid, right? There's no purpose. You're not going to market to it, anything like that. I mean, there's a whole conversation you could do around sunset policies and things like that. But anyway, I think the set it and forget it mentality around data is probably the biggest mistake, followed closely by not checking to see if something already exists in HubSpot. So you create a dual entry. And then another one, and it's all data related, right? Mm-hmm. Creating custom properties and just defaulting to single line text or multi-line because it's easy, but then getting frustrated because you can't report on it. There's no standard way. You know what I mean? So all of the, if you wanted to say, a custom property on, I don't know, what year did you graduate Hogwarts? If that's your custom property, I would coach my client to do a date picker, right? Because the input type on a question or a custom property matters, especially if it's something you want to report on. Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking of custom properties, when you're thinking of data, when you're thinking of what do I want to report on, what goals do I want to meet, what information is something that I need to, over time figure out trends or spot patterns or things like that. Try and simplify the input type and make the input type match what you want to see happen. So if it's like a multi-select situation, where you're like, who's your favorite Quidditch teams? You list out the Quidditch teams, right? So I can pick more than one. But then if it's like, what year did you graduate Hogwarts? In theory, you only graduated in 1 year. So you could have a date picker, right? And then by standardizing it, the format's the same. You can pull the data, and then you can figure out who, how many of your contacts graduated Hogwarts in what year. I think that's a silly way to explain it, but I see over and over again, people default to doing something that's just simple and quick to get something done. And while that's helpful for you in the moment, what it does over time is actually, in my experience, creates issues that you have to undo later on. So my advice is to not be a jerk to yourself or the company.
Great advice.
You know what I mean? Just take the extra 5-10 minutes now to do it the right way, and then proceed down the road. Like a little bit of planning, a little being proactive, just a little bit, and asking people what it is they want to do. And then actually going, do we actually need this custom property? Or is there something in HubSpot, for example, a default field that would work? Use that instead.
Is that
something like that.
So is that something you see a lot of then, working with clients, where they do just go and create custom properties and it's not needed? So where you said there that a lot of companies are trying to save time in the moment by not putting enough information in and including enough data. Essentially what you're also saying is that some companies go the other way perhaps and include too much, and it's just like, it's pointless data, and they're just overcomplicating it for themselves and their team.
Yeah, because some of it's like the default name in HubSpot might be something different in Salesforce. Like the classic example is account owner in Salesforce and company owner in HubSpot. They're the same thing. They're synonyms, right? But they're not identical. So there's really no point in creating an account owner in HubSpot. I mean, we could sit and debate on why or why not you would want to do that. But I'm from camp, just map it to company owner. You know what I mean? If you're doing an import or integration or something like that, that's what you can do. And then it's just better. It's less fields, less confusion. So, yeah.
And how quickly can somebody change that? So say at the minute somebody's listening and they're thinking, they're either thinking, we don't include enough data, we need to start doing more of this, or the second option, they're doing too much customization. How quickly can people change that so it's actually in line with what you're recommending?
Yeah, it depends. I know that's a crappy answer to give, but my first recommendation would be, if you are that HubSpot admin, is to go to your custom properties, deselect HubSpot as the creator of that custom property, and then select everybody who's created a custom property. And it's really easy to do from the pick list. And then literally just start getting rid of ones that are not used anywhere. But before you do that, make sure your team is aware that you're doing this, right? But don't give in to an individual's preference. Like, I need to keep this because I might use it one day. Well, if that's the case, when that time comes, guess what? I'm willing to recreate this property for you. Because chances are, if they haven't used it and you've been in HubSpot, it's not going to be used. So clear that clutter out first. But then if there are properties that you want to map to something, like you create, like let's say you did account owner and you wanted to move it to company owner, you can do something like use a workflow to clear a property and then move it into a new one. Because HubSpot, and I'm sure other platforms are like this too, they won't let you remove a property if it's in use. So you have to clear the values first and then remove it. But it is possible to do that via workflow. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying everything, and there's nuances and things you have to consider, but there's that. And then there's Ops Hub too, if you're an Ops Hub user in HubSpot, to leverage a couple things that way too.
Generally, when somebody gets everything in, gets all their data in line as you recommended, what benefits can they expect to see?
Over time, once it's clean, you can get better reporting, right? You'll have a clearer, what's the word I'm looking for? You just have better segmentation. You'll have better results because you'll have cleaner data. Another thing you could do is require certain things when you create a contact or a company or a deal, right? You could consider things like that as well. Obviously, we don't want to bog down people and have 50 fields required because that's not cool. But just break it down to the bare bones minimum. Like on a contact, for example, HubSpot wants you to put in first name, last name, and an email because the email is a unique identifier. Well, if you're going to be emailing that person and then whoever puts that contact in, if I just put in Tom Andrews, that doesn't give me, the marketing team, any way to be successful. Like I can't email you. And so think about not just you as the person, but the team as a whole. What am I going to do to help the team? And then like taking a few minutes to make sure I spell Tom correctly and that I follow like, oh, we use proper case, right? Whatever. Title case. What's that? Where it's initial caps, something like that, where you capitalize the T and the A and Tom Andrews.
Do you know what? Before I became in the market here, I was a copywriter for years and I have no idea what it's called.
But you know what I'm talking about. It's like initial caps or something where Elizabeth Winkelman, you know, and like as a business, if you do everything lowercase, for example, I know there's some brands that do that. You can like just set the expectation that I want this all to be lowercase. But then if you have something like OpsHub or another platform that can clean data, you can, you know, write rules or put in things where it would correct that stuff for you. And I know that seems really silly to do, but like getting people to be on the same team and knowing that what they're doing isn't just impacting them in the moment, it's for their team as a whole. So it's going to set up the sales team for success. I know capitalization won't, but you'll help the marketing team.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Or, well, and the sales team, if they're using tokens and things like that inside of HubSpot. Absolutely. Like when at my previous job, when we moved to HubSpot, the team didn't understand why it was so important to have first name, for example. They just didn't get it, like the service team in particular. And it was an honest, like, question, like, why do you give a shit about this so much? And so I said, this is why. And I showed them. And then once they saw that, they went, oh, I get it, because I can use subject line or personalization in the subject line in the body of the email, in the preview text or something. You can do other personalization as well. And so by not having clean data, you run the risk of using a default value that might not make sense, or you just can't do it because it's not trustworthy.
Awesome. So. Elizabeth, fantastic episode. Yeah, well, I think data isn't a sexy topic, but it's perhaps the most important topic though. Like the amount of people who think, as you said at the start, I can't be bothered for this. It's not going to make that big of a difference. But over time, it does. And like you said, when it's like 1 year, 2 years down the line, or maybe even 1 month down the line, but when you need it and you don't have everything there, and people have left their job and all that sort of malarkey, then that's when you're going to wish, damn, I wish I actually sorted out my data. Exactly. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for this episode. Listeners, I hope you've had a great time, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.